Well, hello and welcome back to Radical Dreamers. We are currently at the treasure door after going up to the, I don't know, execution room, torture room, whatever you want to call it. And we're currently in front of the treasure room, the door that's got like all the barriers and stuff on it. So let's go ahead and we're going to head back towards the terrace now. We continued down the corridor, eventually coming across a door on our left. The corridor continued on back towards the terrace. Okay, so we're going to head... we're going to continue on to the terrace. We don't care about any of this at the moment. And we want to keep following the corridor. We took the corridor leading from the left-hand side of the terrace, eventually arriving at an intersection with some stairs. Okay, the path to the right led down the stairs, and the path to the left was a dark side passage, and the main corridor continued straight onward. We want to go down the stairs again. We're heading back to Lynx's quarters. Slowly we crept down the staircase, descending deeper into the blackness as we went. At the bottom, the path split. The way to the left continued on to an atrium that resembled a sort of plaza, while the path to the right was a winding passageway that trailed off into darkness. Okay, so we're going to go to the right. We went down the stairs and took the passage to our right. Eventually, we came across an ornate door on the right-hand side. This is Riddell's room. We've already been here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go right past it. We went down the dark passageway, eventually finding ourselves at a sturdy-looking, immaculately polished door. This is Lynx's room. It was Lynx's room. Kid's eyes lit up, gleaming in the darkness with a savage anticipation. Okay, we want to go inside. Kid opened the door and slipped inside. I knew he wouldn't be here. We started looking for any signs of the key to the vaults. Maybe she can help, said Kid, thrusting her chin towards the mirror. I gently pulled the soft cloth from the mirror and stared into the glass. It was dark, like the surface of a lake at night. What is your desire? Let's see. You want... Kid's measurements were Lynx's. No, I want to ask where the key to the vault was. Do you know where the key to the vault is? The mirror's reflection rippled and changed to reveal a room with numerous bookshelves. A deep, sonorous voice spoke. You'll find the key in the place I have revealed, the study. It is inside a book with a purple cover in the furthest bookshelf from the door. Okay, the image of the study vanished from the mirror and the voice went silent. It appears the spirit has left for another mirror, commented Magil. To the study then. As I made to leave the room, a low voice rumbled through the air, stopping me dead in my tracks. Beware, he knows. Was it the voice of the mirror again? What did it mean? Hurry up, or we're leaving you behind, Serge, called Kid from outside. Flustered, I rushed after her. The corridor stretched out beyond the door. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to follow it, of course. We retraced our steps. Eventually, we came across an ornate door on the left-hand side. It was Riddell's room, Lynx's daughter. We're going to go ahead and we're going to continue on. And then you want to, let's see, we got some stairs to the left or a corridor straight on. And we want to go ahead and we're going to take these stairs upward. And we've already done all of this before. And then you go to either the right, which leads to a large door, left to the terrace, or a narrow side passage. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the side passage towards the study. We headed down the side passage. At the end of it, we came to an old, immaculately polished door. This was the study. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go inside the study. We've already been here. This is obviously, we've seen this as all the books and stuff. Right, let's find this key. Light on her feet as always, Kid moved into the center of the room. Where'd the mirror say it was again? Serge? She was asking me. How was I supposed to remember? The book with a blue cover, red cover, or purple cover. Ooh, good lord, there's so many. Anyway, it's a purple cover in the far bookcase. I think it was supposed to be one with a purple cover in the furthest bookcase. Alright, let's see. Seeming to take my word for it, Kid made for the case in question. Right, this one, purple cover, purple cover. Aha, this has got to be it. Kid pulled out a book from the bottom shelf. Magil and I watched as she opened it. The pages were hollowed out and inside was an old key decorated with strange symbols. Nailed it. Nice one, Serge. Kid snatched the key from inside of the book. Right, time to finally get a look at this treasure. Having got what we came for, we left the study. All right, so let's go ahead and we're gonna head back to the terrace. So we want to go towards the right branch, back towards the terrace. And then we want to continue the corridor. It looked like this. So this is the one towards the clock tower. We're going to continue on. We're going to continue creeping down the hallway. And this one is the sturdy looking door on our left. A little further on stood a stairway leading upward. We don't care. Well, this door is clearly meant to keep something safe. Yes, we've already read this before, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to go inside. This should do it. Kids slipped the key we found into the lock. Lines of magical light flashed across the surface of the door and vanished as various magical barriers were dispelled. Up, down, left, right, blue, red, green, every color under the sun. Nice reference there. And then all was quiet and the darkness of the manor returned. Right, we're in. With a creak, the heavy door gently swung open. As soon as I saw what was inside, I gave a gasp. Kid stepped inside. Whoa, we've hit the mother lode. Out of the darkness loomed a veritable mountain of gold, silver, priceless works of art, and exquisite trinkets. Kid looked as if she were on the verge of drooling at the sight of it all. But what thief wouldn't have been? After all, this was the kind of hoard that few people would ever come across in their lifetime. The smallest fraction of this vast amount of riches would have seen even the most careless spendthrift set for life. Our goal is the frozen flame. Ignore the rest. Magil spoke with an icy dedication to our mission. He had not even batted an eyelid at the sight that greeted us. Yeah, I know. She was disappointed, of course, but she soon set about scanning the room for the object of our hunt. Wait, is that it? Look on the pedestal over there. I turned to see what Kid was pointing at. There it was, a small yet perfectly formed jewel that gave off a pale red light, a jewel that looked like a flickering fire suspended in time. Interesting that it is red here, given the fact that in Chrono Cross the gem is obviously blue. The frozen flame. Silently, Magil walked towards the pedestal. I called out. Either one of these, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna say, wait, we have to be careful. You're right, this is Lynx we're dealing with after all. It may very well be trapped. We should be on guard. We need to be quick about this, but fine, have it your way, grumbled Kid, looking away. Magil examined the pedestal for a short while, then paused. We were wise to be cautious. Placing his left hand on the base of the pedestal, he muttered an incantation, drawing quick sigils in the air with his right hand. Some glyphs appeared on its smooth surface and for a moment blazed brightly. There, now we can proceed. Magil calmly reached out and grabbed a hold of the red jewel. Dun da da! Serge and friends obtained the frozen flame! Yay! Well, phew, we'd managed to get what we came for without anything horrible happening to us. I breathed a sigh of relief and then turned again to Magil. He was staring silently at the jewel in his hands. Magil, we did it. Let's get out of... Before I could finish, the frozen flame crumbled to dust. This flame was a fake. Lynx must be keeping the real one somewhere safe. What? Suddenly, a siren rang out. The room was flooded with light and metal bars slammed down in front of the door. I turned with a gasp to see Kid frozen, an ornate crown in her hands, and a wide-eyed look of awkward shock on her face. Dun dun dun! Kid and friends obtained a gold crown, too! You're kidding me, right? You had to go, and you complete bonehead! I let rip with a stream of choice insults, in my head, that is. Metallic parrots in the four corners of the room suddenly came to life, flapping their wings and screeching, "Rock! Thieves! Thieves!" We're in trouble. These things are going nowhere, said Magil, inspecting the bars covering the door. Although to him, you wouldn't have thought there was anything wrong. Which way? Which way? The parrots! The parrots! To the vault! The vault! We heard voices in the distance. The manor guards were coming. Kid dived behind a pile of gold coins. Find somewhere to hide. In a panic, I looked around the room. There was a large chest sitting wide open next to a pillar. I rushed to empty it out and then plunged in headfirst and closed the lid. Captain, there's no sign of anyone in there. No sign. Strange, peculiar, no one has ever escaped before. None have ever fled the mousetrap's clutches. None. I gently pushed off the lid of the chest and peeked through the gap. There were 5 goblins wearing suits of armor unlocking the gate and about to make their way inside. One of the goblins looked around the room, jerking his neck as he peered into the shadows. Cap'n, what if it was actually a mouse this time? Chef was grumbling about mouses the other day, Cap'n. A mouse, a rodent, a rat? Would a tiny little thing like that really have sprung the trap? Replied a stocky, plump-looking goblin who must have been the captain. He didn't seem convinced. That was when I heard a strange but oddly familiar sound from a corner of the room. Squeak, squeak! It was coming from where Kid was hiding. Startled, the troop of goblins stopped and looked at each other. For a moment, none of them spoke. Eventually, the goblin captain rubbed his chin through his jowls and offered his thoughts. Mouses? I'm sure Chef was complaining about cats. Meow, meow! That voice again. Again, silence. The goblins only looked at each other. Funny you should say that, Captain. The way I heard it, there weren't mouses or cats. It was a hecarim. An awkward silence followed. In my mind's eye, I could see Kid racking her brain to work out what a hecarim was. I smell a rat, by which I mean a thief. Following the captain's lead, the guards reached for their weapons, and then, heck, ran, heckaran. Listen, it really is a hecarim, by heck, that proves it. The goblin guards grinned and nodded to each other. Cheeky little devil, surprised me there. Let's get out of here, boys. The goblins filed out of the vault. I breathed a sigh of relief. And then they came charging back in with a mighty roar. There's no such thing as hecarims. What, you sneaky little buggers, roared Kid, leaping out from behind the pile of gold coins. You're one to talk, thief. Brandishing their weapons menacingly, the goblins moved slowly forward, forcing Kid into a corner. I quietly eased open the lid of the coffer and slipped out. Can't leave you anywhere, can I? I muttered to myself. I knew Kid could handle herself, but I didn't fancy her odds against a whole troop of heavily armed goblins. For a moment, I wasn't sure what to do, but then I made up my mind. All right, let's go ahead and save Kid. Right, I had to save Kid. There was no way I was going to abandon a friend in need. Even if it meant facing off against a group of 5 goblin guards, I'd find a way to come out on top, I hoped. I drew the knife from my belt and leapt into the middle of the room. Hey, snot for brains, over here. The goblins all turned to look at me at the same time. 10 beady, cruel little eyes, all staring daggers at me. Fool, in a hurry to die, are we? I gulped and wondered if making a run for it might have been a better plan of action after all. Humans are so stupid. The goblin captain chuckled and licked his teeth. Yep, this one's got a death wish, all right. Why else would he be so stupid as to come after Lord Lynx's treasure? Ha, that's a first, being called dumb by a bloody goblin. Try acting tough when you're crying to your mom later on. Judging by Kid's response, she wasn't feeling massively threatened. And you tell her it was Kid who kicked your teeth in. So you're Kid, are you? That sneaky little slippery little thief we've heard so much about. The goblin narrowed his eyes. Kehehe. Lord Lynx will be thanking me from now until my retirement when I bring him your head on a silver platter. The goblin captain pulled his morning star from his waist and started swinging. You don't know who you're messing with. We ain't no ordinary goblins, sweetheart. We're Lord Lynx's elite guard, the goblins that gobble other goblins. That's right, the Gob Squad. But quit shooting your mouth off and let me stick a boot in it. With that, Kid launched into a lightning-fast spinning kick. Her boot connected with the side of a goblin's head with a crack, sending the creature tumbling to the ground. Get him, lads. The boy looks scrawny. Start with him. The goblin captain spun the heavy metal ball of his morning star in the air. Glorious Gob strike! Aye, aye. The goblins charged across the room in response to their captain's command. Gob strike incoming. A goblin rushed towards me, swinging its weapons overhead. All right, we're gonna go ahead and dodge. I swiftly dodged the attack. The morning star brushed past my cheek. I don't know how, but I managed to escape unscathed. I lost my balance though and fell clumsily to the floor. Magil conjured up a black wind which surged forth like a shearing tempest. How does a human know a spell like that? Who are you? The goblin was quickly silenced as the rushing winds tore through it and it collapsed to the floor with a final shriek. Magil looked down at his victim, his expression unchanged. Another goblin flew down from overhead. Bombs away! With a growl, it sent its morning star swinging from above. All right, let's go ahead and roll away here. I rolled across the floor, dodging the attack, but I wasn't fast enough, and the iron ball crashed straight into my back. By the way, a lot of these are random, so good luck. I let out a howl as the force of the impact jutted through my body. I never felt such raw pain in my entire life. I rolled around the floor in agony. Har har har, dance for me, boy, let me hear you sing. As I crawled on the floor, the shadow of the goblin towered over me like a black mountain. Die, brat, hehehe. Its lips curled around its fangs in a leering grin, and it raised its weapon over its head. Oh no, you don't, you'll have to get through me first. Magil conjured up a black wind which surged forth like a shearing tempest. Oh, this is the exact same one, huh? Alright, well, we got out of that one. My head was spinning, but I managed to take the opportunity to rise to my feet. Gobstrike incoming. A goblin rushed towards me, swinging its weapon overhead. Let's go ahead and dodge yet again. I swiftly dodged the attack. Alright, but we got out unscathed on that one. Okay. Kid lashed out with a lightning-fast kick. There's more than where that came from. Please, have mercy! The stricken goblin had collapsed to the floor, its eyes wide with fear. This isn't a game, Serge. Watch yourself, will ya? Another goblin flew down from overhead, bombs away, with a growl and its morning star swinging from above. Alright, I guess we do a counterattack this time. I was better off attacking than trying for a clumsy dodge. I tackled the goblin head on. Literally, I smashed my skull into the goblin's grim visage as hard as I could. A shock ran through my neck and shoulders like I'd been brained with a hammer, but it was worth it. Teeth and spittle flew left and right as the great ugly brute rolled stunned across the floor. Long live Lord Lynx, glory to the Gob Squad. With these final words, the goblin collapsed. That was the last of them. We made it. Barely. Ha, piece o' cake, said Kid, putting on a brave face on things as she wiped the sweat from her brow with her arm. And then she stopped and looked at me. Serge, what were you thinking, you great Drago? Getting the goblins to come after you like that. You really didn't have to, you know. Kid gazed softly at me, her blue eyes like the cool glow of the moon. She seemed to be trembling slightly. She looked down at the ground, hiding her face. Thanks. I'll never forget what happened tonight. Even if we go our separate ways, even if we never meet again. Never. And then Magil stepped in. Save the chatter for later. We can't waste any more time here. The frozen flame must be somewhere else in the manor. All right, mate. Thanks for stating the obvious. It's not my bloody fault that Lynx has to make things so bloody difficult for everyone. Kid spun on her heel and made a sulky about face for the door. Suddenly her attention returned to the pile of defeated goblins. This bunch of drongos said they're Lynx's elite guard, right? Bet they got some nice loot on them. With that, she started unceremoniously rummaging through the fallen captain's pockets. She was like a hyena sniffing for scraps. Hello, hello, what's this? She'd found an odd metal plate. It resembled an open hand and was covered in runes. Reckon this thing might open some other magic door somewhere. Well, never know when it might come in handy either. Finders keepers. The plate vanished into Kid's pocket. Looks like there's nothing else worth taking unless you count pocket lint and bits of string. She rose to her feet and looked around the room. You know, it's a real shame to leave the rest of this loot just sitting here unloved. Suppose we can come back for it whenever. Kid turned to face us and flashed a grin. All right, lads, get a move on. It ain't gonna be dark forever. That hand-shaped plate is our only clue for now, muttered Magil, seemingly to himself. And with that, we left the vault in search of the real frozen flame. Okay, so now the corridor outside the room stretched off to the left and right. The path to the right led to the terrace, and that is the direction that we want to go. And we want to go this way until we find the stairs. So let's just go ahead and let's continue on. And we want to go ahead and we want to continue following the corridor. All right, so we want, at this point, we want to take the stairs. All right, let's see here. So now that we've gone down the stairs, we either need to go to the left, which is to an atrium, or we need to go right. So we actually want to go to the atrium on the left. Kid poked her head through the arch-shaped door and took a look around. Huh, it's big in here. Must be some kind of hall. We took a cautious look around, then entered one after another. The atrium was like a beautiful plaza, complete with a statue that doubled as a fountain. Pillars and arches lined the walls, and in the center was a small pool of clear water above which the statue stood. On the other side of the room, I could see another arched entrance like the one we had come through. Ooh, that's cold. Kid was scooping up water from the fountain. I went over to her and rested my hand on the edge of the marble basin, peering into the pool beneath. Shadows flickered under the water's surface. You reckon these fish are rare, as invaluable? Kid leaned right over the edge. I couldn't see the bottom. I wondered how deep it was. The shadow of one of the fish grew larger and larger. Whoa, sensing danger, Kid leapt back from the edge. Clack! A fish leaped out from the water and snapped at her, its jaws bristling with razor-sharp teeth. Its mouth closed shut on the air where she'd been only moments before, and with a splash, the fish darted back under the water. Piranodons! Deadly carnivorous fish with razor-sharp teeth and powerful jaws that could snap a monster's horn in half. Staring in horror, I watched as dark shadows began to gather in what little of the pool I could make out. The pteranodons must have detected prey. Soon, the room was filled with the sound of splashing and snapping as the fish teemed at the water's surface. Bloody hell! Even Kid was uneasy. She took another step back. How many pteranodons were in the pool? The thought of what would happen if they all leapt clear of the water and attacked at once crossed my mind. A bead of cold sweat rolled down my forehead. Suddenly, the water coming from the statue turned crimson and shot out in a powerful jet that nearly touched the ceiling. Kid jumped back again. I stood in shock, watching the torrent of water erupting from the statue. The scarlet waters continued to gush out of the fountain. The pool grew redder and redder and started to overflow. We looked on in trance, but the spell was soon broken when we realized that the water was starting to flow faster and faster over the rim of the basin. The pteranodons began to jump and snap at the water's surface with bloodthirsty glee. I was brought to my senses by the dull, slapping sound of pteranodons hitting the floor. Alright, so we actually want to head back the way we came. Kid, let's get out of here. In a panic, we splashed through the water toward the corridor we came from. The fangs of the pteranodon snapped at my legs and I felt searing pain, but I had to endure it if I had any hope of reaching the entrance. Breathing heavily, I finally found myself back in the corridor outside. Phew, that was a close call. So, by the way, you can never actually get through that room, so just turn back. So that whole thing was a trap, and talk about twisted. Lynx is even more of a sick bastard than I thought. I was about to say he wouldn't have to be if he didn't have to guard against people like her breaking into his home, but I thought better of it. Well, at any rate, I think we can consider that a dead end. Let's go back. Defeated, we left the atrium. Something caused Kid to stop in her tracks. Hello, hello, what do we have here? She pointed to the side of the entranceway to the hall. I found myself face to face with a sculpture of an old man's face with a truly phenomenal beard. The sculpture's eyes seemed to gleam with life. For a piece of marble, it seemed almost too realistic. It's a mouth of truth, announced Magil. Enchanted statue that can tell you when you're lying. If it catches you out, it'll bite your hand off. Magil kept his explanation simple so that Kid wouldn't drift off before he got to the important part. Huh, so what's it doing here then? I suspect it's part of a greater mechanism. Stick your hand in its gob, do ya? Righto, let's see what happens, shall we? With a mischievous glint in her eye, Kid darted over and stuck her hand in its mouth without a moment's hesitation. She stood there for a moment waiting, but it didn't take long for her to get bored. Huh, nothing. Suddenly, I had an idea. Hey kid, who's the greatest thief who ever lived? Ha, me of course, ya drong. Kid answered without a moment's hesitation, and then suddenly her face twisted with pain. The teeth of the marble sculpture had clamped down on her hand. It bit me, she cried. Knock it off. Everyone knows it's the truth. Ow! The sculpture bit her again as soon as she spoke. Grr, you little... A cold sweat formed on Kid's forehead. The sculpture was tightening its grip. It won't let go until you say something true. Despite the obvious urgency of the situation, Magil was matter-of-fact as ever. Just say something, Kid. Anything, as long as it's the truth. Obviously, Kid wasn't listening. Instead, she just kicked awkwardly at the statue. Oi, Beardy, let go of me hand. She planted her feet either side of its mouth and tried her hardest to pull herself out. She heaved, kicked and stamped, grunted and strained. And then finally, her hand popped free. I was taken aback by what I had just witnessed and couldn't say a word. See, told you it was the truth. Kid raised her hand in the air triumphantly as if to demonstrate. I could see heavy bite marks. The sculpture hadn't come away from the struggle unscathed either. Kid's attempt to break free had left it cracked in several places. Magil pointed silently at part of it. I went to take a closer look and saw a pale flesh-covered tongue. I expect we're supposed to put something there, commented Magil. Something, what exactly? I replied. Kid stood there for a moment, lost in thought, and then she started to unload all the knickknacks she'd been carrying. It was a strange collection of odds and ends pulled out from her pockets, her boots, and even her braid. All right, Serge, now it's your turn to have a go at that stupid statue. Kid grinned at me, holding her assortment of knickknacks out on the palms of both hands. I guess she'd decided that whatever further horrors the statue had in store, she'd rather not face them herself. Nice kid, real nice. Grumbling to myself, I reached out to pick an item I chose. Well, guess what? We have the hand-shaped plate. I took the hand-shaped plate metal plate we'd found. After taking another look at the runes, I was no closer to working out what they might mean. Here goes nothing. I stuck the plate into the mouth of Truth's marble maw. As soon as I did so, its eyes rolled upward and the wall gave a light judder. A low rumbling sound came from the sculpture's mouth. This indeed is the ultimate truth of the universe. Did you hear something? Yeah? I watched the mouth of Truth in confusion. Its great marble tongue lolled out, almost like a snake. It coiled around the plate, seizing it and pulling it deep inside. What's going on? In a panic, I looked to Magil for answers. Seems this ineffable truth of the universe has left even the mouth of Truth tongue-tied. Magil answered in his usual deadpan manner. I think he might even have been trying to make a joke. Hang on, so that plate thingy revealed the truth of the universe? And you went and crammed it down Beardy's gullet? Do you realize how much we could have sold that for? Kid kicked the floor in frustration and snapped her fingers. And then drains on all sides of the room suddenly opened wide. The red water formed eddies as it sank away. Helpless, the piranodons were washed away with the current. Soon only trickles of water were left, slowly dripping away. Well, that's a stroke of luck, ain't it? Guess we won't be sleeping with the fishies tonight, grinned Kid, looking at the empty pool. We crossed the drained room, making for the exit on the other side, and pressed on. All right. Well, we've gotten pretty far. We've got a little bit more to go. Actually, quite a bit more to go. But next time, we're going to go ahead and go past the room, and we're going to see what we can find.